Hasn't it been a few days? Welcome to the Port Adelaide 2023 season review, the fallout of what's been a pretty interesting last few days and pretty interesting 2023 season. So welcome back to the channel, everyone. I know you're loving the fact that we're in the same state we are pretty much every time we get kicked out of finals. Is absolute disarray, fans going mental, social media's buzzing, opposition fans are giving us shit. It's a fantastic time. We obviously get to the point where players get delisted, players' contracts are up, and you don't know if they're going to get renewed, or you've got players that are on the trade table and players you're looking to bring in. It's a pretty busy time of the year. It's one you're hard to keep up on, hard to keep all the news going, and it's definitely not what you want. It's an exciting time because you get to see what the club is doing in the off-season to make sure that in the next year isn't a failure. And while we look at what could be for next year, today we're going to look back and see what 2023 was as a whole. So welcome to the fallout of 2023. Well, I'll tell you what, at the start of the year we were told many things. This is the year we bounce back. Ken Hinkley's out of contract. August is the date set for him to be renewed as a contract or to be sacked, essentially, and to see how the team is going. We move forward to February. We get told the list is the best he's ever had. We've got a lot of things going for us. We get to round one. We smash Brisbane off the park, and all of a sudden we have fans believing that the opportunity may be here in 2023. Get smashed by Collingwood in a game in round two at the MCG. Then we lose the showdown, our home showdown in the prison bars. All things looking bleak. Warren Treadray, the premiership captain, the greatest player to play for Port Adelaide in the AFL, comes out and says that Ken Hinkley's position is untenable. And from that word untenable, it became uncannibal. 2023 had the biggest winning streak Port Adelaide's had in the AFL era, winning 13 in a row, and that basically switched from 13 in a row to 4 losses in a row, and the capitulation that was 2023's back end of the year. The 13 in a row saw some fantastic games, individual performances. We saw games from Zach Butters that we've never seen before from anyone. He had a superb season, one of the Brownlow favourites. Connor Rozee, awesome season, all Australian along with Zach Butters, and he was one again that was absolutely phenomenal. Dan Houston, all Australian for the first time, absolutely amazing, came through and really shined the light on what we thought he had as potential, and ended up showcasing that in droves throughout the year. I look at some of the finest games this year. I look at the game against Melbourne in the wet on a Friday night. Absolutely fantastic game of football. The willingness to get across the line and win that game was sensational. I look at the games against St Kilda and the Western Bulldogs at Marvel. We had our game-winning streak at Marvel for 9 or 10 games. It was absolutely sensational. And I look at those games and I think, far out, that's a real mature performance. And I look at games like Geelong where it was finally we can believe. I then look at things like Ken Hinkley coaching from the boundary, a change. We wanted change, we wanted differences throughout 2023. We got them. The home and away season was a very successful one. We then get to the final series. It's a straight sets exit. It's gone before we could even say what opportunity do we have next. It's definitely something that we did expect, I think, by the end of the season. Not something we'd hoped for, but it's the worst case scenario. And I'll tell you why it's the worst case scenario of what occurred. And I'm repeating what legends have said throughout the week, and I know that it was the worst case. If Ken Hinkley got extended in August, that we'd end up, straight sets, fans losing their absolute minds. And look where we are. This is where we are right now. A season that went to waste. A season that definitely wasn't what it should have ended up being. At the end of the day, we overachieved. Our expectation was simply to make finals and hope to God that we could make a difference, which we didn't, but we made finals. We ticked that box. We came back from, we're looking pretty dire at the end of last year. We got some good recruits in. Jason Horne-Francis was absolutely fantastic. Second year from Jeremy Finlayson was unbelievable for majority of the part. Individual performances were great, as I mentioned. We just got to the big stage, and we got to the stage where we needed to prove that we have improved. We didn't. And I'm not here to say that 2023 was all negative. I'm just here to say that this is the facts. This is what it spells out. I've been coming under a bit of criticism for negativity that I've been throwing at the club of late. That's because the questions now need to be asked. It's as simple as that. I've sat here for the last 6 years riding the wave of everyone that's been watching, everyone that's been a supporter, and we've been through the highs and lows of this club throughout the last 6 years together on this channel. And when it comes to it, I'm at a platform, I'm at a situation that I want to express my opinion. This is my opinion now, and opinions can change over time. And I've definitely been in a corner where I wanted the best outcome, and at the moment, the best outcome is not coming from the people that are in charge of this football club. And it's as simple as that. So questions need to be asked of their positions. Questions and pressure needs to be put on to these people, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be given a CEO letter that comes out and explains everything that we've all witnessed and felt throughout the year and sympathised with. I want answers. I want what's going to happen. Whether it's on the field, off the field, something's got to change. Something's got to happen for this club to move forward. It's not the same PR crap that we've been dealt with. It's not the same turnover period that we always have. We're getting these big recruits in. We're going to fill in the gaps. Deficiencies in our defence are going to be filled. We're going to bring in another ruckman. Lycett's future's in doubt. So we've got to fill the void. You're leaving one of your best players of all time out of contract at the moment. Positive chats have been had with him, and hopefully Travis Boak is signing a 1-year deal come by the trade period eventuates. Overall, the fact is, of this whole season, we overachieved. And I genuinely think, whilst we rode the very, very high and very, very happy stage of that 13-win streak, that is all that 2023 will be defined by, is a 13-game win streak. And it's really, really sad that is the case, because I felt that was a building block for what a winning streak at 13 could have been, to what it could have eventuated to. In the end, it didn't come that way. And that's okay. That is a season. That's AFL footy. We've got to accept that, and as fans, we've got to move on. But of course, we can ask the questions of what's going to be happening and what's going to be occurring in the off-season, because that's all we can do. We're a football club that's proud of our heritage, proud of our people, and we want answers, and we want them effectively to be brought in straight away, because we don't want to be left in limbo. We don't want to have similarities of the year before. Obviously, look at the season as a whole. 17 wins, 6 losses, straight sets exit. The listings already have been announced, with Bonner, Teakle, Barkler and Dumont not getting an extension. We're still waiting on Boak, Lycett, Fantasia, Jackson, Hayes. They're all in limbo at the moment. What's going to happen there, we're not sure. Obviously, the likely signings in those are Fantasia and also Jackson and Boak. I think is more likely than not. Lycett's probably 50-50 for me. But with Teakle getting delisted, which I thought was a bit of a surprise, I have a feeling that someone like Hayes is gone, and Lycett's going to get a 1-year deal on a minimum cash contract. And it'll be interesting to see what we bring in from the draft as well. Obviously, we're targeting Asava Radagalia, we're targeting Jordan Sweet, and we're targeting Brandon Zerk-Thatcher. So 3 keys to come in, all filling those deficiencies I spoke about just before. Where do we go from here, Port fans? It's as simple as that. We know what the season was. We've had experienced highs like the Dan Houston after the Siren win, Round 1 Brisbane. We've seen fantastic goals from Rosie. We've seen unbelievable players from Jason Horne-Francis. The celebrations from Charlie Dixon. The unbelievable intercept marks from Aliria. But at the end of the day, what are we really gaining? What have we gained from 2023? That is the question for me. What have we gained? Because what we're gaining for this year has to come into effect for next year as well. And in my opinion, what we gained a building block for the young players and the positives out of our young midfield that's going to come out of it. Rosie, Butters, Drew, Horne-Francis. Unbelievable. That is the main positive. Our club has got a direction. It's got a future. I'm not disregarding that. It's about what we can do to make the future successful. We're not going to bottom out. We're not going to be one of those clubs that end back in the middle of the road. Next year, I believe we'll be back. That is what I do believe. I believe we'll be back. Ken Hinkley will be coach. That's the end of it. Unfortunately, no change will be made there. He signed, he's sealed for the next 2 years. That's not changing. I hope that the pressure is on internally. That's what we need. The pressure on internally. No dates set, nothing like that. We take it week by week. We sign Boak. That's the first step in this off-season. Sign Boak. Then we go get the players we want in the trade period. And then we go to the draft. We get some key position players there. I reckon we get another key forward and we get another ruckman, another young ruckman to bring in, and maybe even a small forward. just to see what we can do. Maybe a midfielder as well. I think we've got plenty of them, plenty of opportunities there. Do not get a halfback because we've got plenty of those. This is the plan, the building block. Then we look at off-field. What changes can be made there? Koshi, have you had enough? Matthew Richardson, have you had enough? You've been in the role for a short period of time, but it's the same scenario. I think the club personally needs to look at the way it presents itself on social media and the media in general. Make it a lot more fun. Get your fans more engaged. None of this, same stuff every week. Fans, MVPs, great and everything like that. But bring us in a bit more. Bring us a part of this football club. Look at GWS, Collingwood, Carlton. They make everything together and they're all on a journey together. I think that's the direction the club needs to look at. Wipe the True Believers tag. That's done. That's been used for the last 11 years. It's not worth it. We are Port Adelaide, all to be wiped. This is a focus on next year. Next year is a goal. Next year is 20 years since our last AFL flag, 2004. You believe everything the media has said. Obviously, Warren Tredrea's come out and said it. He said all of his opinions, and he's 100% correct. 100% agree with the man. He's been absolutely nothing short of spot on. I think the club needs to take that direction. Not look at the likes of the propaganda that's been coming out of SEN or, or what Rucci said on the radio. None of that. None of this. Let's just pump fake positivity into the world. It doesn't work. And not with us fans now. Everyone can agree that this is now the time where the club needs to go, you know what? Let's wake up from this. We've got a coach set in stone. What do we do? What can we do to make sure that next year is not straight sets, it's not a prelim loss, it's a grand final berth and the possibility of a premiership? Because nothing would be better than 2024 and we're celebrating our 20-year anniversary of winning a flag with a flag. I know I've rabbled on. I know this is a fallout video. This is something where you get your opinions across. It's been very strong, and I'm telling you now, it's been a big struggle. Reading some of the comments, reading direction, the voices, and what's been said, and some things have become personal, and it's become a bit difficult to be a part of. So make sure you take care of yourself when you are commenting, and making sure that you're being respectful as well. It is a tough time, but footy is footy. We move forward. And now we make the changes we need to make sure that we are successful next year. Because nothing, it's not anything, I should say. Not anything but every single Port Adelaide person, internally, externally, on the field, off the field, wanting one thing, and they want success. So we need to bring it. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you need plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way. My name is Anthony, and as always, ThePear.